welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at a review from the Glasgow Film Festival. It's for a film called The New Year That Never Came.
Right, and we're using this review not just to talk about the movie itself, but really as a lens.
Exactly, a lens into a pretty dramatic historical moment. Romania, December 1989.
Yeah.
Right on the edge of revolution.
Yeah, it's a time and place maybe less explored in mainstream Western film, which makes this review quite insightful.
So our mission here is to unpack what this review tells us about how the film portrays that chaos, that paranoia, and the human side of it all.
And specifically through the eyes of ordinary people caught up in it.
Okay, so let's set the scene a bit. For listeners, December 1989. Things were changing fast across Eastern Europe. But Romania under Ceaușescu was maybe a bit different. What does the review remind us?
Well, the review drops us right into that specific moment. December 89, communist Romania, Ceaușescu still in power, but barely.
The brink.
Exactly. The review uses that phrase, on the brink of revolution. And it contrasts this, with the West getting ready for Christmas, that kind of jarring difference.
And we know how that brink tipped over. The review mentions the outcome.
It does. It reminds us this wasn't peaceful. Ceaușescu's overthrow led to, significant violence, bloodshed.
Started in Timișoara.
Yes, the review mentions the protests starting there and then spreading, crucially, to Bucharest, the capital, which is where the film mainly takes place.
Right, so that's the immediate context for the film itself, The New Year That Never Came. It's by Bogdan Mureșanu, his first feature film, actually.
Yeah, the review points that out, and it sets the film very precisely, just 4 days before Christmas, 1989, so Romania is absolutely teetering.
And the focus is squarely on the people in Bucharest.
Uh-huh. The review describes them as feeling disillusioned and scared. Captures that mood.
And it reinforces that point about this perhaps being less familiar cinematic territory.
Right. The reviewer notes that compared to, say, the fall of the Berlin Wall, this particular very violent end to a regime in Romania is maybe something Western audiences haven't seen depicted as much.
Okay, so how does Mureșanu tell this story? Because the review suggests it's not like a big historical epic.
No, not at all. That's a key point in the review. It uses 6 intersecting stories. Ordinary people.
Ah, okay.
And the pacing is described as steady. The goal seems to be to really embed you, the viewer, in the texture of their lives just before the collapse.
So you get a sense of the reality on the ground.
Exactly. The review says this approach gives a sense of what was really going on. The paranoia, the spying, the censorship, the everyday violence that was just baked into the system.
It wasn't just about active resistance then.
No, the review even mentions people who were supposedly loyal supporters, ardent supporters, are shown frantically burning files as things fall apart, trying to cover their tracks. So focusing on these ordinary lives, the reviewer argues, keeps the story authentic and engaging. It makes it a fascinating and complex look at history, not just dates and events.
Right. Let's maybe talk about some of those characters the reviewer highlights.
Yeah.
Because they seem key to this approach.
Definitely. There's Margareta. She apparently joined the party out of belief initially, but by 89, she's just jaded, completely disillusioned, moving into this tiny state flat.
And her son.
Yeah, Dinka. He runs a student informer ring, but even that's described as flagging. Like, the whole system is decaying from within.
Okay, and then there's Florina, the actress.
Yeah.
Her story sounds, quite something.
It really does. She's an actress under pressure to do the official New Year's broadcast for state TV.
The usual propaganda piece.
Right. But the review says after some recent tragedies, she just can't bring herself to, quote, ass kiss.
Understandable.
And then there's this incredibly bizarre, dark scene the review describes. She asks her neighbor, who apparently abuses his wife, to beat her up so she has an excuse not to perform. He refuses, and she ends up hitting herself with a big rubber fly swatter. It's this, grimly absurd moment born out of total desperation.
A fly swatter detail.
Yeah.
That stays with you. What about Gelu?
Gelu's story is about fear on a different scale, maybe more relatable for many. He's a manual worker.
Okay.
And he's terrified because his son did a school assignment, a drawing, with a wish for Uncle Nick Ceaușescu to die.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Gelu's convinced this simple drawing, if seen by the authorities, means jail time or worse. So he's desperately insisting his son redo it. It just shows how fear infected everything.
Even a child's drawing. And there were students mentioned, too.
Yeah.
Trying to get out.
Yes. Vlad and Laurentia.
Yeah.
They're planning to defect, cross the Danube River.
A classic escape route.
But even as the regime is literally collapsing, the review mentions Laurentiu gets badly beaten by someone in uniform and is forced to sign a false confession.
So the old mechanisms of control were still lashing out.
Exactly. The violence didn't just switch off.
And there was one more example of Margareta, the disillusioned party member. Something quite darkly ironic.
Right. Later, the review notes she tries to kill herself using gas in her apartment.
Oh, there.
But she can't, because the government had already shut off the gas supply to her whole building.
That's bleakly perfect, in a way.
It captures that pervasive, suffocating state control right down to the most private, desperate moments.
And I guess these examples really underline the reviewer's point about finding truth beyond just the dialogue.
Absolutely. It's in what these characters don't say, as the review puts it. The fear, the resignation, the things done without words that communicate so much about living under that system.
The review also touches on the film's look, the atmosphere. How is it described?
Visually, it sounds quite stark. The review talks about the screen being drained of color, a palette of smoky grays, arid browns, and steel blues.
Sounds oppressive.
Yeah, and the interiors, too. Apartments filled with dark, heavy old furniture, clashing patterns, mustard, cinnamon, chestnut. It creates this feeling of a world that's physically weighing down on people.
And this visual reality is contrasted with what they're hearing on TV and radio.
Exactly. You see the flickering state propaganda on old TVs, hear it on radios, assertions that the army is protecting good citizens, protesters are dangerous elements.
The official story versus the lived reality.
Precisely. It highlights that huge disconnect.
Now, the reviewer also mentions absurdity. How does that play into it? Is it mocking the characters?
No, the review is careful to say it's not mocking them. Murasanu, it says, revels a little in the absurdity of the situation, but the target seems to be the regime itself.
Okay.
It's used to expose the ridiculousness of that system. I mean, think about the examples we discussed.
Right, the fly swatter.
The fly swatter, Jalou's panic over the Uncle Nick drawing, the gas being turned off, the pointless forced confession right at the end.
They're not just weird incidents.
No. The review suggests they reveal the illogical, often cruel, and ultimately bizarre nature of that regime as it crumbled.
So how does the film tie all these threads, these individual stories, and the country's broader fate together at the end? The review mentions the climax.
It highlights the use of music, specifically Ravel's Bolero.
Interesting choice.
Yeah. The reviewer says it's used to kind of weave the characters' fates together with the nation's fate. The ending sequence sounds pretty intense.
Chaotic.
Described as chaotic, cutting between the different characters in their final moments under Ceaușescu. It's called a frenzied and violent bid for peace and prosperity, for freedom.
Sounds like it mirrors the actual historical events.
It seems so.
Yeah.
And crucially, the review mentions the film integrates actual archival footage from December '89.
Oh, wow. Real footage.
Yeah. Packed streets, determined crowds, described as incredible to behold. And this footage, combined with the driving percussion of Bolero, takes the film right into the credits.
That sounds powerful.
The reviewer calls it a very powerful moment of cinema.
Okay, so pulling it all together, what's the reviewer's final verdict on The New Year That Never Came?
Overall, it's seen as an interesting exploration of a dramatic chapter of history.
Yeah.
High praise for blending the personal and the public seamlessly.
And the performances.
Credited as very strong, making the film compelling. The only slight caveat mentioned is the pacing.
Too slow for some.
Potentially, yeah. The review notes the steady pace might prove too slow for some viewers. But clearly, for this reviewer, it worked. It helped immerse them.
So for you listening, what this review offers is a way into understanding the human dimension of a massive historical shift, using a film as a kind of guide.
Right. It shows how even under crushing pressure, in the midst of chaos and, yes, absurdity, everyday life with its hopes and fears and small struggles carries on and, in fact, defines the reality of the time.
It's a reminder that history isn't just abstract forces.
Not at all. It's lived by individuals. It's the sum of all those personal stories unfolding together.
Well, this has certainly been a fascinating deep dive, looking at a revolution through the prism of a film review. As you think about all this, here's something to consider. How do those seemingly small personal struggles, worrying about a kid's drawing, that absurd fly swatter, finding the gases off, how do these intimate moments maybe reveal the true nature and the real impact of a huge, oppressive system in a way that grand political statements sometimes can't?